What's going on, ladies and gentlemen? It's Daniel, and welcome back to our video. Today, I'm doing my final 2023 NASCAR Cup Series driver lineup predictions. Let's go ahead and just jump straight into it. We're going to start off with the one car for Trackhouse Racing. This one's already confirmed. Ross Chastain will be back in the one car for Trackhouse Racing in 2023. Ross Chastain has been very, very successful so far with Trackhouse Racing in 2022, scoring 2 victories and has a shot to win the 2022 NASCAR Cup Series Championship. I think Ross Chastain will only continue to get better as a driver, and he will be a championship threat in 2023 as well. Up next, we're going to talk about the 2-car for Team Penske. This one's already confirmed. Austin Cindric will be back in the 2-car for Team Penske in 2023. Austin, of course, who is the son of Tim Cindric, who is the president of Team Penske. Austin Cindric so far in 2022 has scored 1 victory, but that was the biggest race of the year, the Daytona 500. Cindric also has a shot to make the championship this year, and I think as we go throughout the years, I think Austin Cindric is only going to get better, and I think he'll continue to impress over time, and I think he'll win a lot more races in that 2-car. Up next, we're talking about the 3-car for Richard Childress Racing. Austin Dillon confirmed this past week that it'll be in the 3-car at least through 2025. So Austin Dillon will continue driving the 3 for Richard Childress Racing through at least the 2025 season. Austin Dillon is a very, very solid driver. He's not your top-tier driver that's going to go out there and win many, many races, but Austin Dillon is a very solid and a really, really good driver. So I think he will continue to do really good with this team and will have some good runs, and especially with the addition of his teammate that we'll talk about here really, really shortly, I think he'll continue to impress. Up next, we're talking about the 4-car for Stewart-Haas Racing. No surprise here, Kevin Harvick will be back in the 4-car for Stewart-Haas Racing in 2023. Kevin Harvick, this will also be his last year on his contract, and I think 2023 for Kevin Harvick, this is going to be his final year. By the end of 2023, Kevin Harvick is going to be 48 years old, and he'll be getting up there in age. Kevin Harvick has also been a little bit more outspoken as of recently, and I don't think he likes some of the directions that NASCAR is currently going. I think 2023 is going to be the last year for Kevin Harvick, who will replace him in 2024. That is to be figured out later, but this will, I think, will be his last year, will be 2023. Up next, we're talking about the 5-car for Hendrick Motorsports. This one is confirmed. Kyle Larson basically confirmed a couple days ago that he will be driving the 5-car at least through the 2026 season. Kyle Larson, since getting to Hendrick Motorsports, has scored 12 victories and has already won a championship and has a really good chance to win the championship in 2022 with having 2 wins so far this season. I think Kyle Larson over the next 10 years is going to win a lot of races. He's got a long-term deal with Hendrick Motorsports to stay with the team, and I think he will finish his career with Hendrick Motorsports long-term. He will continue to be a very successful driver at Hendrick Motorsports. Up next, talk about the 6-car for RFK Racing. No surprises here, Brad Keselowski will be back in the 6-car. Now, for Brad Keselowski in 2022, it's been a really up and down year. Keselowski's had a few top 10s, but compared to when he drove for Team Penske, this has been one of his worst seasons of his NASCAR Cup Series career. But I do think over time, the longer he's at the team, the better I think he's going to be, and I think it will help improve RFK Racing over time. And I think as years progress, the team has gotten a little bit better. I think going into 2023, I would expect Brad Keselowski to perform a lot better than he has in 2022. Up next, we're going to talk about the 7-car for Spire Motorsports. While nothing is confirmed for the 7-car past 2022, I would anticipate that Corey LaJoie is going to continue driving the 7 for Spire Motorsports. Corey LaJoie's had a little bit of a down year, and I will be honest, I thought LaJoie was going to perform a little better. And I do think at points he has performed better, but one of the issues with Corey LaJoie is that Spire Motorsports, the team themselves, isn't the greatest organization in the world. Sure, they've probably shown a little bit more pace, but they've struggled a little bit. So I think for Corey LaJoie going into 2023, they're going to need to improve, but I expect that Corey LaJoie will be back in the 7 team in 2023. Up next, we're talking about the 8-car for Richard Childress Racing. This one's going to have a massive, massive change here because Kyle Busch is leaving Joe Gibbs Racing, will not return to the 18-car, and he will drive the 8-car in 2023, as confirmed this past Tuesday. This is a major pickup for Richard Childress Racing, in my opinion. I think Kyle Busch is one of the greatest NASCAR drivers of all time, and Richard has compared him to Dale Earnhardt Sr. I think going into 2023, Kyle Busch is going to win many, many races. Of course, he still could win a championship this year in the 18 car, but I think that starting next year, he's going to start winning more and more races, and I think he will absolutely be a championship threat in the 8 car in 2023. I expect big things from Kyle Busch. Up next, we're talking about the 9 car for Hendrick Motorsports. This one's already confirmed. Chase will be back in the 9 car through the 2027 season. Chase Elliott in 2022 has had a really strong year with 4 victories, but the round of 16 for him so far has not been really fantastic. But after the round 16, he's going to have a refresh going into the round of 12. I think Chase Elliott is going to win a lot of races over the next 2 years. This 19 has been really good together. They've got a lot of collective stuff and a lot of good things going for them. I think Chase Elliott will continue to have a lot of success in the 9 car over the next few years. Up next, we're talking about 10 car for Stewart-Haas Racing. After much anticipation, Eric Almirola confirmed about 3 or 4 weeks ago that he will be returning to the 10 car for Stewart-Haas Racing for multiple years. So he'll not only be there for 2023, but will be there for 2024 as well. Eric Almirola has been an up-and-down driver. He's had good moments and also some not-so-good moments, but he is a very solid driver who will get you some pretty solid results. And I think Eric Almirola will continue to do great things, some good things at Stewart-Haas Racing. I think he'll improve as a driver, and I think it's because he still is not to that point where your peak year is as a driver. So I think Eric Almirola will continue to do good things in the 10 car. Up next, we're talking about the 11 car for Joe Gibbs Racing. This should be no surprise. Denny Hamlin will be back in the 11 car for Joe Gibbs Racing in 2023. Denny Hamlin's definitely getting up there in age, and I think he's going to be almost at a point where I think he is almost going to start looking at potential retirement. But Denny Hamlin has also said that he would like to probably race to around 2025 in 2026. But I think that Denny Hamlin is going to start losing some of the pace and performance starting next year as he's getting past his prime at the moment. But I think Denny Hamlin will still have some success in 2023, but will he be incredibly successful? That's one thing to watch going forward, but he'll be back in the 11 car. Up next, we're talking about the 12 car for Team Penske. This one's already confirmed. Ryan Blaney will be back in the 12 car for multiple years. It's unclear how long the contract extension is, but it's a long-term deal. So I would think that he will be with this team really to like 2027 or 2028. Ryan Blaney, while he's not scored a win in 2022, he has been extremely solid, and he's been in the top 5 in points pretty much all season long, and at points in the top 2 in points as well. I think that Ryan Blaney is going to do really, really great with this team long term. I think he could win a championship, and I expect a lot of success for Ryan Blaney in the 12 car long term. Up next, we're talking about the 14 for Stewart-Haas Racing. Well, nothing ever really gets confirmed for the 14 car. I would anticipate Chase Briscoe is going to be back in the 14 car. Chase Briscoe in 2022 picked up his first career victory, but it has been an up and down year for Chase Briscoe this season, and he'll be looking to have his first good run here later down the road. I think Briscoe will be a decent driver overall. He's hopefully going to have some good stuff going for over the next few years, and he'll be back in the 14 car in 2023. Up next, we're talking about the 15 car for Rick Ware Racing. Rick Ware Racing in 2023, I expect them to have 2 cars in the season, and I do anticipate that they are going to have a rotation for their 15 cars. So I expect drivers like J.J. Yeley, Ryan Preece, and Joey Hand, among other drivers, to get an opportunity to get behind the wheel of this 15 car. I think the 15 car is better than the 51 car, in my opinion, and I think this 15 car will do really solid next year heading into the 2023 season. I think they'll have some good drivers getting behind the wheel of this car. Up next, we're talking about the 16 car for Kaulig Racing. Now, nothing is confirmed around the 16 car, but Kaulig Racing has a big announcement that's coming here in the next 2 to 3 weeks on October the 5th. And they're going to be announcing the driver of the 16 car most likely. Well, I would anticipate that Daniel Hemrick is probably going to jump up from the Xfinity Series and jump up to the Cup Series full-time in 2023. That is my prediction, and I'll tell you why. Daniel Hemrick has sponsorship and funding from Nutrien AG Solutions. He's also got funding from other companies like Athletic Greens, and also is sponsored by South Point Casino as well, which I think will help him get that sponsorship. I think Daniel Hemrick is going to be driving the 16 car in 2023. Up next, we're talking about the 17 car for RFK Racing. This should not surprise anybody. Chris Buescher is going to be back in the 17 car for RFK Racing in 2023. Chris Buescher's had an up and down year. Sure, he struggled at points, but he's also been really, really strong at the road courses this season as well. And I do anticipate in 2023, he could really, really improve. I think the better RFK gets, the better Chris Buescher is going to get as a driver. So I think that Chris Buescher will continue driving this car in 2023, and will get some great runs with this team. Up next, we're talking about the 18 car for Joe Gibbs Racing. With Kyle Busch leaving Joe Gibbs Racing to join Richard Childress Racing, who is going to replace Kyle Busch in the 18 car? Well, this should not surprise anybody. I expect that Ty Gibbs is going to be driving the 18 car for Joe Gibbs Racing in 2023. Ty Gibbs has been making select cup starts so far for 2311 Racing, and in those select starts, he has generally been really impressive. It also needs to be known that he is a grandson of Joe Gibbs, and he's been doing good this year in Xfinity with 5 victories so far and 9 career Xfinity Series victories. I expect Ty Gibbs will be in the 18, and he'll bring his sponsorship from Monster Energy and Shriner Children's Hospital and other sponsors that are willing to work with them. I anticipate Ty Gibbs being in the 18 car in 2023. Up next, we're talking about the 19 car for Joe Gibbs Racing. This one's already confirmed. Martin Truex Jr. is going to be back in the 19 car for Joe Gibbs Racing in 2023. Martin Truex Jr., I think this, though, for Martin Truex Jr., I think this is going to be Martin Truex Jr.'s final season. This is the first time that Martin Truex Jr. has missed the playoffs since 2014 in his first year at Furniture Row Racing. I do think Martin Truex Jr. 2023, he's going to have a big bounce back year by winning a couple races. But like I just mentioned, I think 2023 is going to be the last year for him. I don't expect him to be back after 2023, and I think 2023 will be the last year for Martin Truex Jr. Up next, we're talking about the 20 car for Joe Gibbs Racing. While nothing's been confirmed for the 20 car, I anticipate Cristobal is going to continue driving the 20 car for Joe Gibbs Racing. Cristobal's kind of a younger driver, but also becoming more of a veteran driver. In 2023, this will be his 4th full-time season in the NASCAR Cup Series. And one thing that's crazy is Cristobal is going to be 27 or 28 years old by 2023. So he's a little bit more of a veteran-present driver, despite being in the series for only 3 years and his 4th year in 2023. But I think Bell's going to improve. I feel like the 20 team has been getting faster and faster every single season. And I think the 20 team could be a championship contender and a championship threat for the first time in many years. So I think Cristobal is going to win some races in 2023 and will continue to do great things at this team. Up next, we're talking about the 21 car for Wood Brothers Racing. While nothing's confirmed for Wood Brothers Pace Racing past 2022, I expect that Harrison Burton is going to be behind the wheel of the 21 car. Now, Harrison Burton, let's be for real, has really struggled in 2022. But I will say in the second half of 2022, he has improved with his performance and his average finish has improved. I think the longer he sits in the 21 car, the better he's going to be. Now, has he performed as well as Matt DiBenedetto did in this car? No, absolutely not. But I do believe that Harrison Burton is only going to improve and make some great runs, and I think he will continue driving the 21 car in 2023. Up next, we're talking about the 22 car for Team Penske. This one's been confirmed. Joey Logano, about 3 or 4 weeks ago, announced a multi-year contract extension with Team Penske and a long-term contract extension, continue driving for Team Penske. It's unclear how long the deal is, but I would think it'd probably be a 4 or 5 year extension, probably up to around 2027, 2028, where he'll be almost in his upper 30s. Joey Logano is a championship threat this year in 2022 and could easily win the championship. But Logano, I think, will continue to do great things for this team and have some great runs with the organization. Up next, we're talking about the 23 car for 2311 Racing. Bubba Wallace, I think, will be back in this car in 2023. In fact, he signed a multi-year contract extension with 2311 Racing, so he will be back in this 23 car. I know that Bubba Wallace has been driving the 45 car and will be continuing to drive it for the remainder of this season. But Bubba Wallace, this is the main car, this is the main flagship car, and I think he will continue to improve. Bubba Wallace has had the best average finish in the last 10 races. He's had a 10.1 average finish, and I think that he will continue to improve going into the 2023 season. I expect the 23 team to continue to improve in 2023. Up next, we're talking about the 24 car for Hendrick Motorsports. This one's confirmed. William Byron will continue driving the 24 car at least through the 2025 season. William Byron signed a multi-year contract extension to continue with the team, and it has been an up and down year for William Byron so far this season. But I will say in the last 2 races, William Byron's been really starting to come back into his own again. He's been leading laps in pretty much every single race since the playoffs have begun. And I think William Byron will continue to improve as he will continue driving that 24 car in 2023. Up next, we're going to talk about the 26 car for Team Haysbert. Yes, you heard that right. I expect that Team Haysbert is going to expand to a 2-car operation in 2023 with a part-time entry for Daniel Kvyat. Danny Kvyat has been driving, has made, I think, 1 or 2 starts so far for Team Haysburg's at Watkins Glen and the Indy Road Course. It hasn't been the greatest and most flashy performances with Team Haysburg's organization, but let's be for real, the Team Haysburg's organization, they're not the fastest organization in the world, and they're a newer organization. But I think that Danny Kvyat will make more starts in the Cup Series this year, and I think he'll be driving that 26 car in 2023. Up next, we're going to talk about the 27 car for Team Haysburg's. Team Haysburg's, I expect to be back with this 27 being the flagship car, and I think this car will be more than likely a more full-time entry, and I think they'll run a majority of the races. And I think that Larice Hasemans, who is the son of the team owner Tony Hasemans, he'll be driving this car full-time or majority of the season in 2023. Larice Haseman, of course, the Whelen Euro Series champion over in Europe. He's had a lot of success with the team. I don't expect that we're going to see Jacques Villeneuve come back. I think the Larice Hasemans will continue driving this car in 2023. Up next, we're going to talk about the 30 car for 3F Racing. Now, this is a new organization that just popped up out of nowhere, and they're hoping to maybe make starts at the end of this season, and they're hoping to make some starts next year. The rumored drivers currently are Justin Allgaier and Earl Bamber to get behind the wheel of this car. I think those will be the 2 drivers if they do show up. It's unclear if they will show up or not, but I do think that they will show up in some sort of capacity, and I do think that Justin Allgaier and Earl Bamber are going to drive this car. I think that they actually will show up and make starts in 2023. Up next, we're talking about the 31 car for Kaulig Racing. While it's not confirmed yet at this point, it's anticipated that Justin Haley is going to continue driving the 31 for Kaulig Racing in 2023. Justin Haley's been a little bit under the radar this year. I think he's had some really strong runs, and at points has been in the top 20 in points. And at points, he has been a playoff contender and nearly made the playoffs this season and could have won at Daytona to make the playoffs a couple weekends ago. But he did not end up doing that. But I do think Kaulig, with Kaulig being a new organization, I think that they are going to improve in 2023, have some really, really strong runs, have some great runs, and Justin Haley will continue being that flashy driver that the team needs going forward. He'll be back in the 31 car. Up next, we're talking about the 33 car for Richard Childress Racing. Rich Childress Racing is planning to expand in 2023, and this is where Tyler Reddick is going to go. Now, Tyler Reddick will be out of the 8 car, but he'll be in that 33 car. Why did I mention the 33 car? Well, the 33 car has made select starts in the Cup Series so far in 2022, making 1 start so far with Austin Hill. And I think just for this one season, I think they're going to loan a charter from a team like Spire Motorsports or even maybe Kaulig Racing for that matter. And I think that Tyler Reddick is going to drive this car. Tyler Reddick, we expect to be in there. I don't expect a lot of great runs from Reddick in his 33 car, but this is where Reddick's going to run. He said to the media this past weekend that he knows and understands the risk of it and understands it. Basically, he understands what happened, and he can't really be angry about it. So Reddick, I think, will be in the 33, but that depends on what 23-11 and what happens with Kurt Busch. Up next, we're talking about the 34 car for Front Row Motorsports. While it's not confirmed at this point, and Front Row tends to wait till the last minute, I would anticipate that Michael McDowell is going to be in the 34 car once again in 2023. Michael McDowell has been a really good driver so far in 2022. Has he won this year? No. Has he bet the points he got in 2021? No. But Michael McDowell has had a lot of top 10s and some top 5s this year as well. The only thing he's not been able to do is basically win a race this year. Every other statistical category, he has outbeat every category that he could be in the statistical category. Now, I do think Michael McDowell is kind of near the end of his career, and a year going down the road could be the last year for Michael McDowell. His will be his 16th full-time season, more than likely, in the NASCAR Cup Series, and basically he's been racing since around 2006 and 2007 in NASCAR. So he's been around for a very, very long time, and he'll continue driving this car in 2023. Up next, we're talking about the 36 car for Front Row Motorsports. That's right. Front Row Motorsports is going to be expanding to a 3-car operation in 2023, but this 36 car is going to be a part-time organization, and it's going to be driven by Zane Smith. Zane Smith announced a multi-year contract extension to continue driving for Front Row Motorsports in their programs. He'll be back in the 38 car full-time in 2023. No surprises there. And he will be in this 36 car on a part-time basis. It's expected he will run around 5 to 6 races with this team in 2023. And Zane Smith, of course, will make his Cup Series debut in the 36 car. He nearly made his debut in 2022 in the Cup Series, but in 2023, he will make his Cup Series debut with Front Row Motorsports. Up next, we're going to talk about the 38 car for Front Row Motorsports. This one's already confirmed. Todd Gillen will be back in the 38 car for Front Row Motorsports in 2023. Todd Gillen has a multi-year contract with Front Row Motorsports, and he's been up and down this year, but has also been improving this year. He at points has been leading races and has been contending on the road courses this year. And I think Michael McDowell has been a really big help in helping out Todd Gillen do really good on the road courses. So I expect Todd Gillen will continue to improve, and he will continue driving the number 38 car for Front Row Motorsports in 2023. Up next, we're talking about the 41 car for Stewart-Haas Racing. While Stewart-Haas Racing himself has not made it official, Cole Custer is anticipated to be back in the 41 car for Stewart-Haas Racing in 2023. Now, I'm going to be for real. Cole Custer has been extremely disappointing. I know he's young, but this is going to be his 4th year in Cup with this team, and he's done nothing since his win at Kentucky. I need to start seeing more from Cole Custer going forward if he's going to want to have a lot of success in racing, because he's only got 1 win and has only had a few top 10s this year. I need to see more from Cole Custer going forward, especially in 2023. Up next, we're talking about the 42 car for Petty GMS Motorsports. This one has been confirmed. Noah Gragson is going to be jumping away from Junior Motorsports and will be jumping up to the Cup Series on a full-time basis with Petty GMS Motorsports. Noah Gragson has had an amazing year in the NASCAR Xfinity Series with 6 victories so far this year, including his most recent win at Bristol Motor Speedway, going 3 in a row. I anticipate that Noah Gragson is going to be not as good as Eric Jones, but I don't think he's going to perform as bad as Ty Dillon has. I think he's going to be somewhat a middle ground in 2023, and he'll be able to lean on Eric Jones, who's more of a veteran driver now, as Eric Jones will be in his 7th or 8th full-time season in the Cup Series. I think that Gragson will do really, really good in that number 42 car, and will do good next year in the 42. Up next, we're talking about the 43 car for Petty GMS Motorsports. This one's already confirmed, not Petty GMS, Petty GMS Motorsports. This one's already been confirmed. Eric Jones is going to be in the 43 car in 2023 as he has a multi-year contract with Petty GMS Motorsports. Eric Jones has been really, really good this year in the Cup Series. He scored his first win with the team in the Southern 500 this year, and I think that Eric Jones has been one of the most underrated drivers so far in 2022. And I think in 2023, with Noah Gragson coming on, I think a team is going to improve with all that experience and championship level experience. I think Eric Jones will continue to have a lot of success with this team, and he will continue driving the 43 car for Petty GMS next season. Up next, we're talking about the 44 car for NY Racing. This one is kind of a little bit up in the air, but NY Racing is still around, and they're hoping to make a couple starts late in the season at Texas and Talladega. So I think NY Racing is going to be back in 2023, and I think they're going to run more races as well. My anticipation is that Greg Biffle is going to be back in this 44 car as they want to bring Greg Biffle back to the team. And I think that Matt DiBenedetto, who is going to be back at Rackley WR Racing, I think he's going to make a couple select starts with the team as well. Now, NY Racing, I think, is going to run a lot more races. They'll probably have a lot more of those college sponsorships on their car. And I think that NY Racing will make a return to the NASCAR Cup Series in 2023 and run more races, but they're also expected to make a few more starts in 2022 as well. Up next, we're talking about the 45 car for 2311 Racing. Now, this one's still a little bit up in the air because of the health of a certain driver. But I think that certain driver is going to be back in the 45 car next year. I'm talking about Kurt Busch. Now, a few months ago, I thought maybe Kurt Busch was going to retire because of concussion protocols. I think the only thing that could hurt his opportunity to be back in the 45 car is his health, because Denny Hamlin has publicly said that this car is his. If Kurt Busch's health is good and the doctors clear him, he will drive his 45 car. If not, I anticipate that John Hunter Nemechek is more than likely going to replace him in this car if Kurt Busch can't come back in 2023. But I think Kurt Busch's health will improve, and I think he'll be back in the 45 car in 2023. Up next, we're talking about the 47 car for JTG Doherty Racing. This one has been confirmed. Ricky Stenhouse Jr. is going to be back in the 47 car for JTG for multiple seasons. Ricky signed a multi-year contract extension with the team about 3 months ago when we were at Nashville Super Speedway, and I think it's a great decision for JTG. Ricky's been okay this year, not special, but he's been okay this year with some really solid runs and has had some pace. Considering where they're at the beginning of the year, they've really improved as a team. And I think Stenhouse is a driver is a little overhated. I know he hasn't done much, but again, I think he's a decent driver, and I think he could really help the team really grow and develop and help the team grow and maybe expand long term. He'll be back in the 47 car in 2023. Up next, we're talking about the 48 car for Hendrick Motorsports. This one we know at this point, Alex Bowman is going to be back behind the wheel of the 48 car for Hendrick Motorsports in 2023, despite all the crazy wild rumblings and rumors around him that people thought that Kyle Busch was going to replace him. But no surprises here, Bowman's back in the 48. Now, Alex Bowman, past 2023, his future is in question. He's the only one at Hendrick Motorsports right now that is not signed past 2023. All the other drivers are signed for 2025, 2026, and 2027. It all is going to depend on Ally. If Ally wants to continue staying and sponsoring Alex, they're going to stay. If they don't want to continue sponsoring Alex, then I think it's more than likely that he's going to be out of the 48 car past 2023. But I anticipate that Bowman will be in this car through 2023, and I think he could get an extension, probably up to where Byron is. I think he could get an extension to around 2025. Up next, we're talking about the 50-50 car for the Money Team Racing. This team I anticipate to be back. They've not made a start since the Coca-Cola 600 earlier this year, and there's been some random talk that maybe they could make some starts late in this year, but I'm not sure if they're going to. But I think in 2023, they're going to be back at least on a part-time basis, and I think they're going to bring their old reliable driver, Kaz Grala, and get him back in this ride. Kaz Grala has had okay runs. They've had top 30 runs in the 50 car and a couple starts that they've ran, but other than that, nothing special for the team. But I do think the more races they do, the better that they're going to be. And I think Kaz Grala is a very underrated driver. So I anticipate that they will be back in 2023 with Kaz Grala. Up next, we're talking about the 51 car for Rick Ware Racing. While nothing's confirmed for Rick Ware, and we tend to wait till nearly about a month to month and a half before the season starts, Cody Ware, I anticipate, is going to be back in the 51 car for Rick Ware on a full-time basis. Cody's the son of Rick Ware and has had some decent runs this year. And to be fair to Cody Ware, I know people give Rick Ware and Cody Ware a lot of crap. To be fair to Cody Ware, his average finish has improved from 2021 to 2022, and Rick Ware has improved very ever so slightly. So they've been a little bit closer to the field this year than they've been in past years. I anticipate that they are going to be back in 2023, and Cody Ware, I think, will be the driver of their car in 2023 as well. Up next, we're going to talk about the 62 car for Beer Motorsports. Now, past 2022, the future for Beer Motorsports is uncertain as Noah Grayson is driving for the 62 Beer Motorsports on a part-time basis in Cup. He's going over to Penny GMS. So they're going to need a new driver to get behind the wheel of the 62 car. Well, Beer Motorsports tends to go a little bit bold with their drivers. And I think they're going to go a little bit bold with the driver of the 62. I think that they're going to bring Sam Mayer up on a part-time basis to run all the super speedway races. Sam Mayer currently drives for Junior Motorsports, and he's been part of the Chevy camp for a very, very long time. I think Chevy's going to be wanting him to make some Cup starts, but there's really nowhere else to go. So I think that they're going to bring Sam Mayer up, and I think he'll drive part-time in all the super speed races for Beer Motorsports in 2023. Up next, we're talking about the 66 car for MBM Motorsports. MBM's had 2 cars throughout the year. They're going to downsize a 1-car operation, and I think this car is going to be more than likely a full-time operation. I think that Timmy Hill is going to drive a 66 car on a full-time basis in Cup for the team. Timmy Hill's been running select races this year in Cup and Xfinity as he's been more focused on his Truck Series program in 2022. I think in 2023, he's going to focus more on Cup, and I think he's going to drive full-time for MBM Motorsports in 2023. Up next, we're talking about the 77 car for Spire Motorsports. Now, like I mentioned, when it comes to Tyler Reddick's number, Spire Motorsports, I think, is going to have 1 charter team and 1 uncharter team. And I think the 77 car is going to be a part-time entry, and I think that Josh Blickey is going to run that car. Now, that car is going to run a majority of the races, so they're not going to be a team that's going to run only a few. They're going to run a majority of races as an unchartered team, but I anticipate that they are going to be downsizing their car from full-time to a part-time operation because that car doesn't get the same performance as a 7 team. I think the 77 car downsizes to a part-time operation in 2023. Up next, we're talking about the 78 car for Live Fast Motorsports. This team has already been confirmed that they're going to be back in 2023. And I think BJ McLeod's going to get behind the wheel of this car with other drivers getting behind the wheel. Guys like Kyle Tilley, Andy Lally, among other drivers who've driven for Live Fast Motorsports in the past, are going to drive a 78 car. BJ will drive a majority, and then I'll have a bunch of other drivers getting behind the wheel. I think you're going to have a bunch of different drivers behind the wheel of a 78 car in 2023. Up next, we're talking about the 79 car for Team Sage Racing. This one is probably out there, and it's probably more than likely not going to happen anymore because Team Sage Racing has been a team that's been in the question. But I do think a Team Sage is going to make select starts in Cup. I think they'll get it together, and Tarso Marquet is going to drive. Tarso Marquet still has been trying to get his approval to get in NASCAR. They've been trying to get their approval as a team. I think they do get the approval, and I think that we're going to see the 79 team show up in 2023, in my opinion, with Tarso Marquet driving the car. Up next, we're talking about the 91 car for Trackhouse Racing. This, of course, is a Project 91 car. Now, the Project 91 car is anticipated in 2023 to have 6 and 8 races next year and maybe run more races in 2023 as well. I think they're going to run around 8 to 10 next year, and I think they're going to have drivers like Jimmy Johnson, Kimi Räikkönen, Julio Castroneves, maybe Brody Kosecki, and maybe a few other drivers like Scott Dixon could have an opportunity to drive for the Project 91 car, especially with how fast that Project 91 car was at Watkins Glen with Kimi Räikkönen. I think anyone that gets behind the wheel will have a shot to be really, really successful. I think long-term it could be a full-time entry with a charter entry with different drivers coming in, but I do think you're going to see a bunch of different drivers driving the 91 car in 2023. And finally, we're going to talk about the 99 car for Trackhouse Racing. This one's been confirmed. Daniel Suarez will be back in the 99 for Trackhouse Racing in 2023. But shockingly, it's only a one-year deal. The big reason is because he is waiting for what the TV deal is going to look like before they do extend, because he's not going anywhere anytime soon, because he's going to be part of the Trackhouse family, especially since, he's one of the big reasons why Trackhouse is around currently and why Pitbull is an owner of the organization at Trackhouse Racing. I think Trackhouse is going to have a lot of success with Daniel Suarez, and I think Suarez will continue to be a really good ambassador for the brand and really help Trackhouse Racing continue their great performances as an organization down the road. So, that is my official 2023 NASCAR Cup Series driver lineup predictions. I want to thank you guys for watching. Please subscribe to the channel, turn notifications on to be notified when a video does go live on my channel. Follow me on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram, and support me on Patreon as well. Link in the description below over that, and comment your thoughts on today's video. What are your predictions for the 2023 NASCAR Cup Series season for the driver lineup? Let me know in the comments below. Tomorrow on my channel, we're going to have a NASCAR news video recapping all the NASCAR news in the industry. Tuesday, we should have a race fix video. It depends on how the internet goes, and we should have a lot of other content on the way as well. So anyway, like I said, I want to thank you guys for watching today's episode, and I'll see you guys next time for some more great, awesome NASCAR content and other motorsports content on the channel like this. Take care, everybody.